Allah makes every hardship easy, the sweet fruit of patience. My dear brothers and sisters, life is not always smooth. We all face pain, we all face loss, and at times the weight of this world feels unbearable. But in every hardship, in every tear that falls, there is one truth that never changes. Allah is with you. He sees your struggles, He knows your silent battles. And while the world may not understand your pain, your Creator does. And when you turn to Him with sincere patience, He turns your pain into something beautiful. Allah never promised us a life without trials. He said in the Qur'an, "And we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger, and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits." Surah Al-Baqarah 155. Why? Not to break you, but to build you, to purify your heart, to remind you that your soul belongs to Him. Hardships aren't punishments, they are wake-up calls. They are divine reminders that this world is temporary and the real reward lies with Him. In times of hardship, patience, Sabr is your shield. It doesn't mean being silent in suffering. It means trusting Allah's plan even when you don't understand it. The Prophet said, "Amazing is the affair of the believer, for there is good for him in every matter, and this is not the case with anyone except the believer. If he is happy, he thanks Allah, and that is good for him. If he is harmed, he shows patience, and that is good for him. Subhanallah." Your patience is not wasted. Every second you stay strong for Allah's sake, you are being elevated in ranks. Your reward is not just in Jannah, your heart begins to feel peace even in this world. Look at Prophet Yub as tested with illness, loss, and isolation. Yet what did he say? "Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful." Surah Al-Anbiya 83. No complaint, just faith, just deep reliance on Allah, and Allah responded with ease, healing, and honor. You are never alone in your trial. Every hardship carries a hidden gift. It might be spiritual strength, a change of direction, or a deeper connection with your Rabb. Allah promises not once, but twice, "Indeed with hardship comes ease. Indeed with hardship comes ease." Surah Ash-Shar 5-6. Notice He didn't say after hardship. He said with it, "This means the ease is already there. It may not be visible, but it's coming. Trust in Allah's timing. Pray, talk to Allah. Even if it's just tears, let Him hear your pain. Be patient, say, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." Your return is to Him. Do good, even small acts of kindness shine brightest in the dark. Stay grateful, thank Him even in trials, and He will increase you. My beloved listener, this storm you're going through, it's not the end. It's just a path leading you back to Allah. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep being patient, and soon you will taste the sweet fruit of patience. A fruit only grown through faith, watered by tears and nurtured by reliance on your Creator. Because when you have Allah, even the heaviest trial becomes light, and the darkest night brings the brightest dawn. Hardships are tests, not punishments. One of the most misunderstood aspects of life's challenges is the idea that when something difficult happens, it must be a sign that Allah is angry or displeased. However, in the light of the Qur'an and Sunnah, we come to understand that hardships are not punishments from Allah. They are tests meant to elevate, purify, and bring the believer closer to Him. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, created this world as a temporary abode of trial. Every person, whether righteous or sinful, rich or poor, believer or non-believer, will experience pain, loss, grief, and hardship in one form or another. These trials are a part of life, not as punishment, but as a means of testing our sincerity, patience, and trust in Allah. In Surah Al-Baqarah 2:155, Allah clearly states, "And we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger, and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits, but give good tidings to the patient." This verse tells us that trials are guaranteed. They are part of the divine plan. But more importantly, this verse shifts our understanding. Allah says, "Give good tidings to the patient," not to those who avoid trials. This shows that the trial itself is not the problem. How we respond to it is what truly matters. The prophets themselves, who were the most beloved people to Allah, faced some of the most intense hardships. Prophet Nuh preached for 950 years with little response. Prophet Yusuf was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and imprisoned. Prophet Yub endured years of illness and isolation. Prophet Muhammad lost both of his parents as a child, buried many of his children, was exiled from his home, and faced hatred from his own people. Were these hardships a punishment? Of course not. These trials were marks of their strength and a means through which their ranks were raised. This reality teaches us a valuable lesson. Difficulty in life is not a reflection of your worth, your sins, or Allah's anger. Instead, hardship is a tool used by Allah to refine our hearts, to humble our egos, and to redirect us to Him. It is easy to become distracted by comfort. When everything is going well, many people forget their need for Allah. They become attached to the dunya, to wealth, success, and status. But when a storm hits, the soul wakes up. It begins to search for deeper meaning. The heart, which was once asleep in comfort, begins to cry out to its Creator. And that moment of connection, even through pain, is more precious in the sight of Allah than years of heedless living. Another powerful example comes from Surah Al-Kahf in the story of the boy whose life was taken by Khidr as under Allah's command. To the boy's parents, it may have looked like a tragedy, but Allah reveals that He intended to replace him with a child more righteous and prevent the parents from future sorrow. This teaches us that some trials protect us from greater harm, even when they appear painful at first. Sometimes hardships are also a form of mercy. Through suffering, sins are erased. The Prophet said, "No fatigue, nor disease, nor sorrow, nor sadness, nor hurt, nor distress befalls a Muslim, even if it were the prick he receives from a thorn, but that Allah expiates some of his sins for that." Sahih al-Bukhari, so even a small pain, a headache, an insult, a disappointment if borne with patience, becomes a means of forgiveness. What we see as difficulty, Allah sees as an opportunity for us to become purer, better, and closer to Jannah. Additionally, hardship can serve as a reminder of who is truly in control. When all doors close and when people disappoint or abandon us, we are reminded that no one has power except Allah. He alone controls outcomes. He alone brings relief. He alone deserves our full trust. Sometimes the test isn't in the pain itself, but in how we choose to see it. Do we complain and lose hope, or do we stay firm and remember that Allah is Al-Hakim, the most wise, who never allows pain without purpose? In short, life's trials are not punishments. They are spiritual wake-up calls, character builders, and soul cleansers. They are signs that Allah wants something greater for you, whether in this world or the next. When we shift our mindset from "why is Allah doing this to me" to "what is Allah teaching me through this," everything changes. Patience, Sabr, is a powerful tool. In a world filled with constant trials, unexpected losses, emotional pain, and spiritual struggles, patience, Sabr, stands as one of the most powerful tools a believer can possess. It is not merely about waiting, rather it is about enduring with dignity, trusting Allah's wisdom, and maintaining faith even when things don't go your way. The Arabic word sabr encompasses more than just patience. It includes perseverance, restraint, endurance, and calm acceptance of fate. It is a virtue so beloved to Allah that He mentions it in over 90 verses of the Qur'an. This alone tells us that patience is not optional for a believer, it is essential. When life gets hard, our natural reaction might be to question, to panic, to break down. But the believer who practices Sabr remembers that nothing happens without Allah's permission, and nothing goes unnoticed by Him. Patience becomes a shield protecting the heart from despair, the tongue from complaint, and the soul from rebellion. One of the most profound examples of Sabr is found in the life of Prophet Ayyub. He lost his wealth, children, health, and social standing, yet he remained steadfast in his love and reliance on Allah. Despite suffering for years, his heart never swerved from gratitude. He didn't scream, he didn't curse his fate. Instead, he said, "Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful." Surah Al-Anbiya 83. This simple yet powerful statement shows the true essence of Sabr, recognizing the pain, but never forgetting the mercy of the one in control. Patience is not a sign of weakness. In fact, it is a sign of immense strength. The Prophet Muhammad said, "The strong is not the one who overcomes people by his strength, but the strong is the one who controls himself while in anger." Sahih al-Bukhari, controlling our emotions, our anger, grief, frustration, or bitterness is not easy. It takes deep spiritual strength, but with Sabr, a believer learns to calm the storms within and respond with grace and wisdom. Another powerful example of Sabr is found in Surah Yusuf, the story of Prophet Yusuf as, betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a well, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned for years, yet at every stage he remained patient. He did not lose hope, he did not give up on Allah, and eventually Allah elevated him to honor and leadership and reunited him with his family. This shows us a vital truth. Sabr does not change the situation immediately, but it always brings results. With time, Allah opens doors, heals hearts, and replaces every tear with a reward. Patience also has a special place during acts of worship. Maintaining regular salah, fasting in Ramadan, avoiding sins, speaking the truth in tough situations, all of these require sabr. The scholars say there are three types of patience. Patience in obedience to Allah, remaining consistent in acts of worship, even when it's difficult. Patience in staying away from sin, resisting temptation, even when it's easily accessible. Patience in the face of trials, staying content and hopeful during hardship. All three are necessary for a complete believer, and Allah promises immense reward for those who practice sabr. He says in the Qur'an, "Indeed, the patient will be given their reward without account." Surah Az-Zumar 10. This means there is no fixed limit to the reward of sabr. It's so beloved to Allah that He will reward the patient endlessly in ways beyond human understanding. In addition to reward, patience also brings internal peace. When you train your heart to be patient, you stop rushing for results. You stop obsessing over what you can't control. Instead, you focus on your effort, your does, your connection with Allah, and you let Him take care of the rest. That mindset itself is a source of relief. Sabr also transforms relationships. It helps you deal with people's flaws, tolerate misunderstandings, and forgive others when they hurt you. The Prophet was the most patient with his people, even when they rejected, mocked, or harmed him. His calm strength inspired hearts and won love. Patience allows you to survive loss, heartbreak, delays, and even betrayal, not because it erases the pain, but because it allows you to carry the pain without letting it define or destroy you. It keeps you focused on the bigger picture, that Allah is with the patient and that no hardship lasts forever. Life is a series of ups and downs. No one walks through this world without tasting pain, whether through loss, failure, heartbreak, or hardship. But for the believer, there is a promise from Allah that brings comfort even in the darkest moments. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Surah Ash-Shar 6. This verse is so powerful that Allah repeats it twice, once in verse 5 and again in verse 6. This repetition is not coincidental. It is a divine emphasis to remind us that no matter how difficult a trial may be, relief is always near. Notice how Allah doesn't say after hardship comes ease. He says with hardship comes ease. This small change in wording carries a world of meaning. It tells us that ease and hardship are paired together, happening side by side. Even when we are in the midst of suffering, there is ease hidden within it, though we may not recognize it right away. Sometimes ease comes in the form of spiritual strength. You may be going through emotional pain, yet find yourself praying more sincerely than ever before. Sometimes it comes through people. Someone shows up to support you, speak kind words, or remind you of Allah. Other times, the ease may not be visible immediately, but it's unfolding in the background, a closed door here so a better one can open later. Hardship is never meaningless. For the believer, it is a sign of Allah's attention, not His abandonment. In fact, the closer you are to Allah, the more you may be tested. The Prophet Muhammad said, "The people most tested are the prophets, then those most like them, then those most like them." This shows that trials are not a punishment, but a purification. They are a sign that Allah wants to raise your rank, cleanse your sins, and draw you closer to Him, and at every step of the trial, He sends ease alongside it to keep your heart firm. Sometimes we become so focused on the hardship that we miss the ease. A person might lose their job, but they gain time with their family. Someone may suffer illness, but that same trial may bring them closer to Allah through prayer and reflection. A broken heart might lead someone to find their true purpose. These forms of ease are often subtle, yet incredibly powerful. It's also important to understand that ease is not always in the form of material relief. Sometimes the greatest ease is peace in the heart. You may still be in the same situation, financially struggling, grieving, or waiting, but your soul feels content because you know Allah is in control. That sense of calm, that inner strength to keep going, is a form of ease that no wealth can buy. The Arabic wording of the verse also holds a subtle miracle. In Surah Ash-Shar, the word hardship, al-Asr, is repeated with the definite article al, indicating it is the same hardship. However, the word for ease, yusr, is mentioned without the definite article, and twice. Scholars say this implies that one hardship is accompanied by not just one, but multiple forms of ease. Sabr Allah is telling us that ease will always outweigh hardship in the life of a believer. This divine promise should reshape how we view every difficult moment. It reminds us that trials are temporary, but the reward for enduring them is eternal. It teaches us that relief is always on its way, even if we can't see it yet. Allah has already paired your struggle with something that will lighten it, whether it's a moment of peace, a small breakthrough, or a beautiful outcome waiting ahead. Knowing that ease comes with hardship gives us hope, and hope is what allows the heart to survive pain. When you truly believe that your hardship is not permanent, that Allah will bring something good from it, you stop panicking. You start waiting with trust instead of fear. This mindset helps you remain calm in uncertainty, resilient in pain, and patient in delay. It transforms your attitude from one of desperation to one of surrender. And that surrender leads to tranquility because you're no longer carrying your burdens alone. You're walking with Allah, trusting His plan and believing His promise. So even when things are falling apart, even when your heart is heavy and your eyes are tired from crying, remember, your ease is already written. It's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. Keep going, keep praying, and keep trusting, because with every hardship there is ease without fail. Allah sees every tear and struggle. One of the most comforting truths in Islam is that Allah sees, knows, and understands everything we go through, every silent battle, every hidden tear, every sleepless night. In moments when we feel invisible to the world, ignored by people, or overwhelmed by pain, we must remind ourselves of one powerful fact. Allah never overlooks a single detail of our lives. He is Al-Basir, the all-seeing. He is Al-Khabir, the all-aware. He is Al-Latif, the most subtle and kind. Sometimes, when the pain in our hearts becomes unbearable, and we feel like we can't even find the words to make dua, it's enough to know that Allah sees the tears that don't fall, and hears the words that are never spoken. He knows the storm raging inside you, even when you wear a smile on your face. He knows the strength it takes for you to get out of bed, to forgive someone, to keep praying, to hold back tears in public. None of it goes unnoticed by him. In Surah Taha, when Prophet Musa was commanded to go to Pharaoh, he expressed fear and worry. Allah comforted him with these beautiful words, "Indeed, I am with you both, I hear and I see." Surah Taha 46. This is not just a historical verse. It is a divine message for every believer. When you walk into something difficult, a painful relationship, a financial crisis, emotional trauma, remember, Allah is with you. He hears, He sees, He knows. In the darkness of grief, when Prophet Yaqub lost his beloved son Yusuf he cried so much that he lost his eyesight. He didn't just say he was sad, he said, "I only complain of my sorrow and grief to Allah." Surah Yusuf 86. This was not a complaint in the negative sense, it was an expression of deep pain to the only one who truly understood him. He knew his children didn't understand his emotions, but Allah did. And that was enough for him to keep his heart strong. In your own life, you might find yourself surrounded by people who don't see your efforts, who don't understand your pain, or who even cause you pain. You might feel emotionally neglected or rejected, and you may silently cry at night while appearing fine during the day. In such moments, let your heart find peace in this unshakable truth. Allah sees everything, and He never turns away from His servant. Even something as small as a tear is acknowledged by your Lord. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Nothing afflicts a Muslim of hardship, pain, anxiety, grief, or even a thorn that pricks him, except that Allah expiates some of his sins through it." Bukhari and Muslim, this means that every struggle is accounted for, it's never wasted. Even when no one else appreciates your patience, your restraint, your endurance, Allah does, and He will reward it with something far greater than you can imagine. Sometimes in trials you might wonder, why me? But the better question is, why not me? When Allah loves a servant, He tests them not to destroy them, but to purify them, elevate them, and bring them closer to Him. He tests those whose hearts he wants to refine. You may not always see the wisdom in what's happening, but you must trust that your pain has a purpose, and your struggle is not invisible. Maybe Allah is teaching you strength. Maybe He's turning your heart toward Him. Maybe He's removing someone from your life to protect you. Maybe He's preparing you for something greater, but through it all He is watching, He is guiding. He is listening. There are moments when all you can do is cry, and even those tears are a form of dua. You don't need fancy words or long supplications. Just your tears alone are a language that Allah understands. He is closer to you than your jugular vein, and He knows the weight you carry, even when you can't explain it to anyone else. And know this, not a single tear is shed in vain. Not a single breath of patience is wasted. Not a single step you take while struggling for His sake goes unseen. Allah records every moment, and He responds not always immediately, but always in the most perfect and loving way. So when the world makes you feel unseen or unheard, turn to the one who never misses a heartbeat, never ignores a sigh, and never forgets a soul that calls on Him. One of the most powerful sources of strength and inspiration for any believer is the stories of the prophets, peace be upon them all. These are not just historical accounts or bedtime tales, they are divine lessons, handpicked by Allah to teach us how to endure hardship, stay patient, and keep faith no matter how difficult life becomes. They teach us what true resilience looks like in action. Resilience is the ability to recover from trials, to remain firm when everything around you is falling apart, and to trust in Allah even when the road ahead is dark. And no one showed this better than the prophets. Take the story of Prophet Noah. He preached the message of Allah for 950 years, nearly a millennium of calling people to truth, while facing mockery, rejection, and even violence. Yet he never gave up. He remained consistent day and night, public and private. His story teaches us the importance of long-term commitment and unwavering hope, even when people around us seem uninterested or hostile. His resilience was not based on results, it was based on trust in Allah's command. Then consider Prophet Ibrahim who stood against his entire society, including his own father. He was thrown into a blazing fire for rejecting idol worship and calling people to heed the oneness of Allah. Yet he did not flinch. His heart was full of certainty that Allah would protect him, and Allah made the fire cool and peaceful for him. His story reminds us that true strength comes from faith, not numbers or support. You can stand alone and still stand firm when your trust lies with Allah, and who could forget Prophet Yusuf, as his story is a textbook on emotional resilience. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold as a slave, wrongfully accused, and thrown into prison. Yet not once did he let bitterness consume him. He forgave, remained graceful, and continued to rely on Allah. His journey from the bottom of a well to a position of power shows that no matter how low life brings you, Allah can lift you in ways you never imagined as long as you remain patient and faithful. The resilience of Prophet Yub is one of the most profound examples in human history. He lost his wealth, children, and health, yet he remained grateful. Years of sickness and social isolation did not shake his belief in Allah's mercy. When he finally raised his hands to ask for relief, he said, "Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful." Surah Al-Anbiya 83, no complaints, just quiet strength. His story teaches us that resilience is not just about enduring pain, it's about enduring it with grace, humility, and reliance on Allah. Even Prophet Musa faced trial after trial, born during a time when baby boys were being slaughtered, separated from his mother, raised in the house of the tyrant Pharaoh, and later sent back to confront that same tyrant with only his brother beside him. Yet he went, trembling but obedient, because Allah promised, "Indeed, I am with you both, I hear and I see." His story teaches us that you don't need to be fearless, you just need to trust that Allah is with you. Finally, the life of Prophet Muhammad embodies the greatest resilience of all. Orphaned as a child, he faced grief, rejection, mockery, exile, and battles, all while preaching mercy and justice. He buried his children, was boycotted by his tribe, stoned by his enemies, and yet he continued spreading the message with patience, compassion, and strength. He never allowed hatred to enter his heart. He forgave when he could have taken revenge. He smiled even when his heart was heavy. His resilience came from complete tawakkul, trust in Allah, deep prayer, and a mission greater than himself. These stories are not distant. They are meant to shape us. When we feel overwhelmed by trials, the prophets remind us, you're not the first to suffer and you're not alone. Every tear, every struggle, every moment of holding on when it would have been easier to give up all of it is part of a path walked by the best of humanity. Their stories are proof that pain doesn't mean failure, and hardship doesn't mean abandonment. In fact, hardship often means you are being chosen, prepared, and purified for something greater. And if the prophets, the most beloved people to Allah, went through such trials with grace and perseverance, then surely we can learn to carry our burdens with dignity too. Trust and dua bring inner peace. In a world filled with anxiety, restlessness, and constant noise, one of the deepest desires of the human heart is peace, not just the absence of problems, but the presence of inner calm and certainty, even in the middle of storms. Islam teaches us that this kind of peace is not found in money, people, or worldly success. Rather, it is found through trust in Allah, tawakkul, and sincere dua supplication. Trusting in Allah is not passive. It doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means doing your part, putting in the effort, and then leaving the results completely to the one who knows what is best. It means saying, I don't know what's ahead, but I know Allah is with me. Allah says in the Qur'an, and whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Surah At-Talaq 3, this verse is a promise. When your heart truly believes that Allah is enough for you, that He knows what you don't, sees what you can't, and controls what you fear, then your heart begins to relax. The burden of what if and why me starts to fade, and you realize you were never alone in the first place. Many people walk through life weighed down by stress, fear of the future, regret over the past, uncertainty in relationships, or worry about provision. But those who place their complete trust in Allah begin to experience a unique kind of relief. They no longer panic when plans change or doors close. Why? Because they believe that Allah's plan is always better than their own, even if they can't see it yet. This trust is deeply connected to dua, the act of turning to Allah with your needs, your worries, your dreams, and even your pain. Dua is not just a religious ritual, it is a lifeline to your Creator. It is you admitting, I can't do this alone. And that humble surrender is the first step toward real peace. The Prophet Muhammad described dua as, dua is the essence of worship. Termid he why? Because dua reflects a heart that knows its Lord, a heart that knows where to run when the world becomes too heavy. It is a moment of complete vulnerability between the servant and the master. Whether whispered in the darkness of the night or cried out in the silence of tears, every sincere dua is heard by Allah. And not only does Allah hear, He responds, always, in His perfect timing and in His perfect way. Sometimes He gives you what you asked for. Sometimes He gives you better, and sometimes He withholds what you asked for because He knows it would harm you. But in every case, the believer who makes dua never loses. Allah says, call upon me, I will respond to you. Surah Ghafir 60 and again, indeed, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. Surah Ar-Ra'd 28, this is not just spiritual poetry, it is a truth that many hearts have witnessed. When you pour your heart out to Allah in sujud, when you cry to Him in the middle of the night, when you whisper His names as you struggle through a hard day, something shifts inside you. The problem may still be there, but your heart feels lighter. That is peace through connection, and remember, you don't need perfect words to make dua. You don't need eloquence or a long list. Even your silence, your sighs, and your tears are heard. Allah understands the language of the heart. Trust and dua are also powerful because they remind you of your real purpose. When you constantly turn to people, you become dependent on them. When you constantly turn to Allah, you become free. You realize that your happiness, your success, and your peace don't lie in the hands of people or circumstances, they lie in your relationship with your Creator. In fact, many times, Allah delays relief not to punish you, but to bring you back to Him. To teach you how to kneel in sujud, how to cry in dua, how to surrender and soften, because through that process, your heart is healed in ways no worldly solution could offer. The most peaceful souls are not those who live perfect lives, they are those who live with complete tawakkul, who talk to Allah about everything, who make dua with certainty, and who walk through the unknown with the comfort that Allah is in control.